Hi, folks. This is Don Meisner with the North Country Fishing Report. As I have gotten older, and especially over the last few years, I really believe I'm becoming a better fisherman. But why? And I think about this. How can I say this? What has made me a better fisherman? Because I know I am. I know I'm catching more fish going to the same areas than I had before. But it's not so much that lures are getting better or that they look more like real things. I think it all boils down to observation. You know, when I was younger and I was going out and I was doing all kinds of TV shows and everything, I was all caught up in just the moments, in the pressures of making something happen, of being able to produce something that we could show other people, the messages that I was going to give. But now when I'm able to go fishing alone, I can take that time to look and see what's really happening. And I have to tell you, I have to give you an idea of what I go through. I will be in the water and I'm looking at current breaks and I'm looking at rocks and places where I think the fish might go. But I'm also watching to see what fish do, because if you stay in a location long enough, you become part of the environment you're in. You're like, and I've equated myself to a blue heron. I become something there that the fish that live there no longer are paying attention to, because I become kind of fixed. And so they start going along with their normal habit. And as I watch them, a couple things I can tell you is I have come to believe that the fish are constantly monitoring, watching their area. They're watching not only outward, in other words, they can see so far away, but they're looking down to see what's happening down below them. And they are looking up for sure. And so many times now, because I'm fishing shallow water where it really becomes apparent, I will cast, and I'm telling you folks, that lure doesn't even hit the water before those fish hit it. I swear they see it coming through the air, and they're waiting like with open mouth. And of course their mouth isn't, because they can open and close it in a microsecond. But they're waiting to gulp that in as it hits the water. And I've seen that so many times. The other thing that I watch and that I'm amazed at is how fast a fish can move. We talk about inactivity and using a worm and putting it down there, and the fish look at it and they'll come up and they'll suck it in, But I'm talking about fish being in their hunting grounds, which they tend to be in these small waters this time of the year. They're hunting. They're feeding all the time. At least it appears that way, and especially towards evening. And so I watch, and I'll see little commotions along the shore. And I will cast maybe 20 feet away from that commotion, and you can see the wake going at almost like jet-like speed, attacking that lure. Those fish saw it from a distance, and they attack it at speeds that are so great. And it becomes fun to see this. It becomes fun to watch this. But I've come to the understanding that these fish become the master of their domain. And it's sort of, the hierarchy is broken down. If you have a pool of water and you'll have one species that ranks as the dominant species in that area, and I think in most cases in these rivers, it will be bass, smallmouth bass. They move at great speeds. They're very aggressive. They have tremendous power. And I think they dominate the pools. Now, keep in mind, we know there's muskies in these waters, and nothing is going to dominate a muskie. But they're loners, and they tend to be sort of this demon that will come into a pool. And I can only imagine what goes through a fish's mind, if anything of that nature. But as I watch, you'll see that the bass will dominate, and they'll have a certain section of the pool which is theirs, probably the best section, where most of the food is going to be. Then you'll have some of the other species that are given maybe the slower water parts of that pool, like rock bass or like chubs. And I see this all the time. And so I've come to understand this, and I've come to know that if I cast, because I'm casting very small lures, that all these fish are going to want. So I know if I cast to that certain area where the bass dominate, that the chances are I'm going to catch bass. And so this is one of the things that I wanted to pass on. My eagerness and my taking the time to observe now, to observe the environment I'm in, to observe what makes these fish respond. And one final thing I want to pass on. Don't think for a moment that these fish aren't smart, whatever smart means. I remember way back years ago when I was up in the Arctic and going to where nobody had ever cast a lure before. And I would cast into a pool, and 15 brook trout would dash after that, chasing each other in the lure. And one of them would get it, and I'd catch it. And then the next cast out, maybe 5 brook trout. Those fish were learning so quickly. And I see the same thing happening. Don't think for 1 minute that fish don't learn what something is, whether it's good or bad. And if it's bad, they will come to either ignore it or to keep away from it. And this is the way it is with lures, with anything in fishing. Fish are smarter than we think, whatever, again, smart means. Did they go through logic? Did they go through thinking? Or did they just respond to something that is built into them that makes them be able to react to things around them in a way that's very much like we do when we think? Anyway, until next time, folks, this is Don Meisner with the North Country Fishing Report.